Si hoy olvidara todo mi español y tuviera que aprenderlo desde cero, ¿cómo lo haría? En este video te voy a dar los hábitos, recursos y métodos que yo usaría para aprender español desde cero. All right, let's get straight into it. So the first thing that I would do is spend 1 week focused on pronunciation alone. Pronunciation is the foundation for the spoken language, and it is also one of the best ways to improve listening. I would listen to a couple of YouTube videos to learn the alphabet. At the same time, I would focus on consuming as much authentic content as possible without the goal of understanding, but simply trying to catch patterns. After the 1 week of pronunciation, I would reduce my authentic content to about 15% of my study time and spend the majority of my time binge watching comprehensible input videos. I've linked a couple of really good channels in the description. You can find one that you like. At the same time, I would also focus on learning the foundations of grammar. I like the book Complete Spanish Step by Step. It's a straightforward guide to Spanish grammar. You can also use Spanish Dictionary if you prefer a digital tool. One other really important thing I would do at this phase is start running through 500 most frequently used words. The 500 frequently most used words make up 70% of the Spanish language. I'd like to use Anki to do this. You can check out some of my videos on how to set up Anki. You can also head over to my website if you want to get the free download of my personalized 500 most frequently used Spanish words Anki. That's good. At this stage, it's critical to make learning a habit and to stay motivated. This is mostly going to come from comprehensible input, which I know will give me the confidence that I can actually understand Spanish and encourage me to continue study. This beginner phase might take about 2 months, and I will know when I'm done with it once I've finished the 500 most frequently used words and once the beginner comprehensible input videos become too boring. In the intermediate phase, I'm going to focus on the 1,000 most frequently used words in Spanish. I'm going to continue my grammar studies I'm going to continue studying grammar, but now I'm pushing into more complicated topics, such as learning the rest of the tenses and the verb conjugations in Spanish. But now here come the two most important things to be doing at the intermediate stage. The first is using a tool like LingQ or Migaku to get as much exposure to Spanish content as possible. This would be a mix of intermediate comprehensible inputs and authentic content that I'm personally interested in. These are both tools that allow you to keep track of words that you know and to easily make flashcards using AI tools from whatever content you're using to learn. And the last but most important thing that I would do at this stage is what I call the conversation cycle. Here's how it goes. I would find a native speaker and get into conversation. I know that I can do this through language exchange apps like HelloTalk or Tandem. I can also do this on italki, where I can find high quality language tutors for reasonable prices. If you're interested in using italki, you can use my link in the description and you can get $10 of free credit and give it a shot. Start up conversation, and quickly I will discover the words, phrases, and grammar that I don't currently possess to be able to converse in the way that I want to. So now I need some type of system for marking or collecting these gaps in my knowledge. I personally use a system that I call a net. You can find videos about that on my channel or my website. If you want to learn more about how to use that system, I would collect all of these gaps in my knowledge, the vocabulary that I want to use, the stories that I would like to talk about, and I would turn this into my own personal curriculum. Then in my study time, this is what I'm studying. And then I circle back and get into conversation again. I intentionally use the words, phrases, and grammar that I had just been learning, and I repeat. This is the continuous cycle that I call the conversation cycle, which I know will help me develop conversational fluency in the topics that I'm most interested in and that I most care about. This is the curriculum that no textbook can ever give me, but becomes incredibly powerful. Now, after about 2 months of this, I'll be getting a little bit bored of the lower intermediate comprehensible input, and I know that I'll be hungering for authentic content. So at this point, I'm going to slowly taper out the comprehensible input. I should be coming to a close with the grammar book as well. At this point, really, it's just a matter of making the grammar muscle memory and learning to speak quicker, being able to conjugate verbs on the fly, and expanding my vocabulary. I would still push into frequency lists, focusing on the 2,000 most frequently used words. And I'm also creating my own Anki decks, which contain all of the words that I'm gathering through the net. At this stage, I would begin listening to podcasts, watching TV shows, and reading books, using Migaku, trying to push as much into authentic material as possible, and then using that authentic material as conversation starter with native speakers. So I'm both developing my speaking and listening ability, and I'm getting reading and listening through the authentic content. At this point, it's just a matter of time until I reach full fluency. And there you have it. That's exactly what I would do to learn Spanish step by step from zero if I had to do it again. Now, if you're interested in checking out the 500 frequently most used vocabulary deck, you can find that link in the description below. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and happy Spanish learning.